Okay. So, first and foremost, thanks guys for attending. Thanks for hopefully making your way, making yourselves available for it. It's going to be just a general, simple conversation that kind of like debrief exactly what have you guys been working on, how are things going, talk about the progress that you've made, talk about like the certain different types of benchmarks that you've hit. Basically, in general, I just want you to shill yourselves and shill like what the work that you have done, and brag about all the accomplishments that you have made during such time, and just talk about the experience so far. So I'm each going to give you guys the floor to just talk about it, kind of open it up. So I'll start it. I'll start with the easy question first. What benchmarks have you guys set for yourselves at the start of the cohort program, and how have you either met or like not met it, or actually sort of adapted those benchmarks during the time so far? Anyone can chime in first. Uh,
Yeah, I'm happy to go. So coming into the program, we had kind of three milestones that we were looking at. We were looking to find a card issuing partner. We were looking to increase the reach of our Bankless Card itself. On our Twitter follows and emails, on our pre-launch list, and we were looking to build our team. Now, on the build our team front, we've done pretty well. I think we've attracted a lot of contributors, some of them from DAOpunks itself, which has been really great. I feel like that's the basis for everything. So, I can't stress enough how I guess like I mean the word that's coming to my mind is useful, but it's more than just useful. Like without contributors, you don't have a project, right? So it's really vital that we got our contributors. So really great that we got some strong ones from DAOpunks as well. And as well as that, on the reach front, I would say that we haven't gotten as far as I'd hope by now, but at the same time, we've kind of been spending more of our time on the team building and kind of coordination aspect. We have not yet deployed the DAOpunks capital. We have a few things that are kind of, I would say, almost shovel ready, for which we can deploy the capital, but we didn't want to just kind of spend it. We wanted to use it on an experimental marketing procedure to increase our reach. And then finally, the first milestone I mentioned, choosing a partner. This has shown to be more difficult than we had hoped. There are a lot of these kind of card issuing partners that we could go with, but we want to make sure that we choose one for the long term. So originally we had hoped to choose one by mid-June, but we want to make sure that we're getting something that's going to allow us to build out over time. So like launch quickly and build out over time. So we haven't chosen our partner yet. We haven't gotten the reach that we wanted, but I think on the team building side, we've really hit that. So I'm pretty happy with that on the Bankless Card side.
cool. Thanks for that. Thanks. Appreciate it. Um, Ella, Marcus, either one of you want to go next?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Ella.
Yeah. So, as for myself, my end goal is to get a full time Web3 job. It's looking pretty good. So, a couple major milestones that I've hit, successes that I've seen. I basically started my Twitter a couple months ago, but I hadn't really done anything on it. I've been really ramping up on that, just kind of build my name. So I'm happy with how that's going. Um, I've been really focusing on building kind of like a network around myself. So I've been spending a lot of time just on short calls with people, whether it's around Bankless or other DAOs, just hopping on calls and talking to them, seeing what they're up to, where they need help. And then on the job front, I've been networking a lot for that as well. And I have a bunch of promising leads all across the board. Aragon, Opolis, some more jobs in Bankless, and then potentially something with Polygon. So I'm happy about that as well.
Oh, great to hear. Great to hear. Marcus.
Awesome. Hey everyone, good to be here with you all. So my main two projects that I'm working on, so one is Cohere and the other one is Lamina Pop. So Cohere, I think everyone here, GCal, you may not be aware, so I'll just sort of share it again quickly. We're building out regenerative innovation hubs that are powered by Web3 infrastructure. So what does that mean? We are essentially creating fractionalized, decentralized ownership of regenerative assets. We've launched a fully live ERC20 token. And that has ultimately meant that we've been able to onboard community members and investment through the Cohere token, which has been awesome. It's issued on an augmented bonding curve, which is a really cool mechanism. Definitely would recommend checking it out. And then as far as Cohere's status goes, so we launched a Gitcoin campaign and are now at nearly 200 contributors, which is awesome. So we've raised over $4,000 on Gitcoin. Super happy with that. And links, would recommend you check that out for the next round with Bankless Card. I think you could muster a lot of support there. Then with Lamina Pop, the intention was to apply to some grants. So we applied to MIT Solves, which is a really huge grants program, and we were finalists for that. And we won't be progressing with them, which is a shame, but like it's honestly one of the most competitive like social entrepreneurship programs in the world. So even to have made it to the final 15 out of 1100 was a huge feat. So super happy there. And then as far as other grant applications, just applied to Friends with Benefits as a grants program. So I applied to that, as well as CityDAO. So just in the midst of waiting on some updates there, and looking forward to seeing where that goes. But yeah, those are the major updates on my end.
Great, thanks for that. Talk about the experience thus far. This question kind of will overlap what you guys have already said, but also just something to kind of keep the conversation going. Any type of unexpected obstacles of noteworthy that you want to talk about? Type of obstacle that you had faced? What did you have to do to overcome it? Or basically a roadblock that you didn't really expect to run into, and if any type of pivoting needed to be happened? Care to share anything of the sorts?
Yeah, I can chime in because I think just like the the sheer number of contributors who have kind of come in and made themselves known and started contributing. It's I had hoped that we would get to a point where we had this many people on our team working. You know, when we applied for the grant, we were like kind of 6 people, and now we have like 30 people working on this, with more like coming every day. And it's I'm not it's not a bad thing by any means, and I don't think it's a blocker or roadblock or anything, but definitely spending more time on just putting the basics of coordination in. I mean, luckily, I come from a background where I've kind of done operations for startups and spent a lot of time on working sustainably. Basically coming up with systems and processes so that we can all work in a way where we enjoy our day to day, and we can kind of persist at that pace indefinitely. So that's really been helpful. But in a DAO, it's completely different. So it's just learning along the way, but kind of pivoting from trying to really pivoting to that team building aspect of it. Just like, what kinds of things do we need when we're onboarding new members? What kind of communication links do we need between the work streams? What do the work streams themselves need to ensure that they're kind of showing progress week over week? And even just like doing that in a way that is faithful to the ethos of a DAO. So just recently today, for instance, we decided we're going to stop having our core team meets in a private Discord message. Instead, we're going to start having them in the amphitheater at Bankless DAO, and that was like kind of a big change, and it was very interesting to say the least, and I just feel like we're getting closer to that kind of organization that builds in public. Anyways, it's definitely been a change for us, and we had to change our focus from partnerships and change our focus from marketing to a little bit more team building, but I think that we're better for it.
Yeah, change is always different, and it's hard. Nobody really likes change. Everybody likes to be set in their ways, but change can always be good. Um, Links, Ella,
Change is the only way, right? Change is the way.
this is the way. Ella, Marcus, any comments? Care to share?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it so much a roadblock, but similar to Links, I'd say just sort of like coordination aspect. I've been talking to some guys at a couple other DAOs, um, and we've been talking about creating these new sort of positions that's almost like a blend of, maybe a job that already exists in their DAO and what I'm doing for Bankless, which is kind of like sentiment analysis, talent retention, that sort of angle. So kind of creating like combinations, kind of like blends of multiple roles into like one, like a new role. And that has just been taking a lot more time than I originally anticipated. Just, multiple meetings and coordinating for that. I think it's just been taking longer than I expected it to. So not really a setback, but just learning that these things take time and kind of like to pace myself and really make sure that I'm coming at this with a patient mindset.
Yeah, great, interesting to hear. Yeah, patience is key. Marcus.
Yeah, I'd say on my end, it's been a really interesting journey navigating Gitcoin grants. And roadblocks there have been, how do you sort of create a mechanism and a system on Gitcoin that incentivizes and really supports like very succinct and very sort of clear messaging on what we're working on and building, which is really exciting. So that I've absolutely loved, but also has been really challenging just getting the word out there on Gitcoin. And for Lamina Pop, yeah, I'd say the roadblock there has been around how are we going to sort of create a space where we're tying in these two completely separate worlds together across, Web3, but also like in rural areas of Guatemala, right? These are two completely different worlds, and how do we bridge those gaps? So that's been sort of a huge draw for me, and something that's been super exciting is basically thinking about where do we begin to implement more decentralized infrastructure and technology, and yeah. So I mean that's been like a very interesting thought process to go through.
Oh, great, thank you for that. So a bit of a curveball question for you guys. How has the DAOpunks grant ETH that was already granted to you help assist you guys in addition to what you guys would have already been doing if you hadn't received this money? So exactly, how is the being a part of the cohort process like helps you further your goals of towards what you wanted to achieve?
So, as I said before, we haven't actually deployed the capital yet, but I do think just the fact that we got the grant kind of gave us some credibility in a way that we wouldn't have been possible without the grant, and this allowed us to attract talent, but it also allowed us to do things like it really kind of got a fire going under our communication team because I was like, this grant is for communication. I want to see some communication experiments. Be creative. This is your chance to run some creative communication campaigns, and so I think like just that kind of shift in narrative, shift in mindset, whatever you want to call it. I feel like just the fact that we did get a grant and there's some funds ready to be deployed, I think is really motivating to people. And aside from that, being plugged into the DAOpunks ecosystem, which I think is like really complementary to our ethos. I mean, I said we had some contributors from DAOpunks, but also just that whole idea of are you able to truly live your life in a self-sovereign way. And I think that is something that we're trying to achieve with Bankless Card, and it's not going to be something that happens overnight, but it's something that we want to build over time. And so just being around the people who are trying to be self-sovereign, I think, really feeds back into our inspiration and into the way that we're building the product.
Well said, Lynx. Yeah, so on my end, this grant has really just allowed me the peace of mind and the financial stability to go further into Web3, into DAOs. For anyone who does not know, I just graduated high school. I'm taking a gap year before I go to college. And when I chose to take a gap year, I decided that was something I should pay entirely for myself. Because it was a decision that I made, and I should pay for that. And so this grant has really helped me because I have a bit of money that I know I can have during my travels. I will be backpacking. That has created enough peace of mind and enough of a buffer for me to be able to spend my summer working in Web3, opposed to spending my time working more of like a typical summer job.
On my end, so the funds have gone towards grant writing for Lamina Pop to build out these 2 homes, and then also working on the Gitcoin grant. So which both of those have been like super time consuming, and yeah, have just been sort of like compensating writers and all the rest of it. So still some capital to be deployed there, but yeah, most of it has gone towards that.
All right. Thanks for you guys. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate that. Let's see. What else do I have to ask for you guys? I think I've hit all the main talking points about this. If I'm going to leave this open to you guys. What do you guys want to like shill for yourself? Talk about this. What do you think is the biggest like accomplishment thus far that you have achieved that you want everybody to know? If a DAO Punk has not been paying closely attention to it, what can you say? What would you say to them that of what you have accomplished so far? What is your proudest accomplishment? What is something that you're most proud of? Or just or even say anything that you would like to say. What about this, about it so far, about your progress so far?
It's funny because I feel like such a broken record just saying like how I'm just really proud of the team that we're building and what they're working towards. It's pretty interesting to see the kinds of people who found us. Like we have like, for instance, like someone who has deployed wallet apps and we have someone else who was formerly at like one of those big Silicon Valley tech companies who deployed a card program for them. We have people from all over the world kind of helping us. Like our diversity of team is amazing. These are the people who could really benefit the most from what we're building at Bankless Card, and I think just I have to like, it's not that I have to, but I end up spending a lot of time with our team, giving some direction and just being able to see the progress of our different work streams. And I think that diversity of the kinds of people that we're attracting to the team, the diversity of experience, the diversity of geography, the diversity of language and abilities, I think it really finds its way into what we're building. And I think that as a result, maybe we're going to move a little bit slower at the beginning, but I think in the long run, we're going to build something much more resilient and much more available and useful to the people who need it the most.
All right.
Okay. Something that I've been happy about is just my experimentation and kind of how I've expanded the sentiment analysis write-up that I took over about 2 months ago at Bankless, I've really been kind of aggressively experimenting, taking liberties, kind of changing around, seeing how we can make this sentiment analysis have the biggest impact, and also trying to get all of this feedback that we get from the DAO and making sure that that feedback doesn't just sit there. And so more recently, we've been talking about creating like a position or like maybe a group of people who whose focus it is to take the feedback we get from the survey, and to really make sure that we find action items within it, and that those action items get taken care of. So that's something that I'm really happy with, and I think that so far some things have worked better than others, but it seems to be making a difference.
I just want to maybe just follow up with you. You say that some things are working better than others. Care to just elaborate a little bit further on that?
Yeah, of course. So, as I said, I've been doing many different experiments. One of them was kind of creating this document. I basically added a question onto the survey that was like, what's the number one action that you can that Bankless can take to improve your satisfaction with the DAO over the next month, and got a ton of interesting responses to that. Compiled those into like this large document, and I tried to sort them based on categories. So I had like a communication category, so suggestions for communications, and then I had different categories, maybe like a category for the tokenomics guild or a category for the marketing guild. But those categories changed a lot as I was making the document, so I would definitely change how I organized that document, maybe how I then sent that document out to a bunch of the guilds within and like channels within Bankless. I think I would change how I would do that. Maybe just organize it a little bit differently, send it in different channels than I had. One of the things that I think was most successful was having a question that was along the lines of, who, in your opinion, in Bankless, is an unsung hero? And then I compiled those results, and if people got, a bunch of mentions, I would reach out to them through DMs and be like, hey, just wanted to let you know you've been recognized by, several peers as an unsung hero of Bankless. Way to go. And I think that had a really big impact on people. A lot of people reacted to that in a very positive way, and that was really a satisfactory thing for me to see, especially because in previous feedback, a lot of people feel like their efforts aren't recognized as fully as they should be. So that was kind of something that I think helped people feel, seen and feel recognized.
Thanks for that elaboration. Really appreciate it. Great job. I felt that on a very deep level too, what you were doing. So good job on that.
Thank you.
Marcus.
Yeah, I'd say on my end, it's been really, really cool to, I think like my whole thing is public goods. So sort of figuring out and seeing the value of public goods sort of coming through the crypto space. I think in many ways, like the promise of crypto ultimately is to shift away from the sort of bigger systems that we're currently in. Like, there has been a lot that sort of emerged from the space, but fundamentally, I do believe that like the real value add and the promise here is to restructure value, restructure community, restructure society at the end of the day. And ultimately, I think that the sort of USP within Cohere and the serious and Lamina Pop as well is how are we going to fundamentally shift things, and like the DAO punks as well is like get away, and it's been cool to see Ella sort of go through this process, like with the DAO punks, right? The whole idea is get away from the corporate thing and come towards like a much more Web3 native way of living life. And I think that that's what's super inspiring about this community and about all the other communities that are emerging in this space. So I'm definitely really excited and looking forward to seeing more energy go through that and just be a supporter of that.
Great. All right. I don't have many more questions yet, but I do want to ask you. I want to get your guys' opinions and takes on how DAO Punks has done overall with their cohort program. Granted, this is our first one. You guys are basically our test bed to both understand what we need to do to go into this, how we can improve upon it, and as you may or may not be aware, we have stumbled on various different fronts on this, and we are looking to improve upon that. I wanted to get your guys' personal take on, how do you feel about us handling the cohort program? Any advice, opinions, good or bad? We want to hear about it. What are your takes? What do you think we could have done better? What could we change? How can we make it better for you guys, or improve the process, make it more inviting, or do other things? Have at it. What do you guys think?
Are we just looking for like deltas, or are you looking for like stuff that you did well as well?
Yeah, everything. Give me the good and the bad. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be. I'm not naive. I know that we have not been perfect across the board.
I think like it's been a valuable experience for me, just beyond the grants. I think like tapping into the community is one of the bigger reasons why we applied in the first place. And I think that some various things that you've done to help us do that has been helpful. Like we had a channel where we could engage with people. And I think like the thing that I thought you guys did really well was when you had all the potential grantees come to that Saturday AMA. I wasn't able to make it for all of it, but I did listen to the recording afterwards, and it really helped me kind of decide where I wanted to throw my punks behind, right? Like I think that was really useful to me, because that original grants kind of survey that you put out, I was trying to read it, and it was just like so much, right? And I don't know if there's a way to improve that process of that like original surveys. I think you guys like went through all of them yourselves, which is a monumental task. But then like even after you had pared it down to 15, I found that to be very, very difficult myself to kind of decide. So what I ended up doing was, of the people who I found interesting at that Saturday AMA, those are the surveys that I read incomplete. And yeah, so anyways, it's kind of a plus and a delta in one.
Thanks for that. Yeah, that
So,
has been noted.
hey guys, if I could jump in.
Oh, hey Garrett.
Hey, Lefet. Hey, so maybe something like if we have applicants do a, like a summary statement or a statement specifically that will be placed in like the community viewing documents, so everyone gets a paragraph instead of a page or 1 to 3 pages sort of thing. I mean, maybe we could try that. Is that kind of what you had in mind?
If there was a way to learn a little bit like a paragraph, so I could read everyone's paragraph and then be like, okay, I'm interested in like Ella, Marcus, and Lynx, then I'm gonna like read more about them, and then there's like a way to read more. But like I have that kind of overview.
All right, something to bring up. Ella, Marcus.
I'd say I generally would love to see more like I'd love to also like have a more didactic relationship with the DAO punks and understand like, oh hey, you're working on this, here's how I can help. So I think like having more engagement would be really interesting. But how you incentivize that, you could be with POAPs or otherwise. But yeah, just like how do we encourage, for example, even for this call, is like encouraging folks to join and engage would be really valuable. Obviously this is like the first cohort, so there's so many lessons and just sort of getting things started. But at the same time, would also love to sort of see traction and have been super grateful for like people's energy and presence so far. But yeah, also looking forward to seeing like what future cohorts look like, and especially as like the sort of cohort 0, how we can support along the way. I think that would be a really awesome endeavor.
Thanks for that. Ella?
Yeah. Lynx and Marcus actually got them both for me. Beat me to it. But yeah, I'd say one of the things that worked well, I thought, was I liked how, Bushi was saying, like, offering to post things on Twitter for us and things like that. I thought that was kind of a cool way to kind of get the word out about the grants or the like cohort 0 at Dowpunks, and also kind of create a little bit more of that like I guess overlap in the community, at least on Twitter. Um, yeah, that was just generous of him. And as Marcus was saying, I'd like to see maybe like a bit more of like the community crossover aspect of it, I guess. And yeah, I'm just super honored to be a part of this cohort 0. And as Marcus was also saying, like if there's any way we can help and like encourage along future cohorts, I'm excited to do that as well.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. This has all been valuable, and you guys have been far too kind. I would have been a lot more critical of us, but that's I understand.
If I could ask one more kind of follow up on that, just because it's something I've been thinking about, but when we originally were designing the program, we were thinking of trying to figure out if it's possible to bring in mentors or something to help assist you guys in your goals or your journey. Did you feel like you could have benefited from someone, another member or someone we brought in specifically, to help you guys complete a specific task or complete a specific, whatever the case is, and clearing a roadblock for you? Would you have benefited from a more personalized sort of like mentor type of thing in any way, or was it unnecessary?
For someone in my position, I don't think I could have too many mentors. So I'd never say no to that. I'm not sure, Lynx and Marcus, if you guys feel differently about that, but that's something that I think would have been great.
I think that for me, I think just getting advice from people is always useful, and it's I think like that whole mentorship relationship. It's really useful, but it's a little bit harder when you don't know the people. I think that so I have a similar position to you guys at Bankless DAO. I'm on the grants committee, and we are trying to be very high touch with our mentorship in some cases, and in some cases we kind of deep dive depending on the situation. And I think like just having the option of understanding what kind of talents are available that we could get advice on would be really useful. I think the DAO punks are in general the organization is pretty good at marketing, pretty good at visual arts, pretty good at various kind of like Web3 executions that have been done by this community. I think are great, but how do you articulate what is available, like who did that, or how they did it, or what they know, or what you could know? I think like just having a little bit of guidance might have helped me reach out more to the community, if that was there.
Yeah, I personally I'm all about like mentors, and I think especially like Web3 is all about information asymmetry. So sort of having that support and being able to like tap into that would have been super super valuable. But at the same time, like there's so much knowledge that's kind of being distilled as it goes, anyways. But I think that'd be fascinating, and like I said, for like the next cohort, would love to be able to kind of contribute towards that.
Yeah, maybe just getting like regular feedback. And I guess I could post stuff in the cohort 0. I did not for the first time. I don't think yesterday I threw something into that cohort 0 thread for feedback. But yeah, maybe that's something I should do more. Is just throwing more stuff in there for feedback.
Definitely would recommend it, as that channel specifically for you guys to both, one, have people have like some type of documentation to make sure, show the community what you've been working on, and also ideally to pose for feedback for those who are available. This entire first round of cohorts was supposed to be a self-governed, self-imposed, like your own guidance, because we can't promise the mentorship or dedication of punks to helping you achieve your goals, but more of a, if there's somebody available who sees it, they can help you, they can. That is something that we are trying to figure out and work on as well, as we try to progress with this forward. So we hear you on that, but it's also good for you to just continue to post, to ask questions, and just to have people be aware of what you're working on and what they can help guide you on, to see if there's anything they can assist with.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, it definitely can't hurt at this stage to, put the info out there and ask questions. I had just been thinking about like if there was a way, to maybe gamify, mentors without having to like, put specific people on a payroll or something. And I basically the idea that I arrived at, and I'd like to get your feedback on this, is more of a bounty system, where I was imagining that perhaps with the next round of grants, or maybe future rounds, that, so let's say it's a 1 ETH grant to you individually as the, the grantee, and, by winning the grant, you get 1 ETH. But with it attached comes either a 0.1 or a 0.2 like ETH bounty fund, where if you have a specific task, or you have a specific, if you want like a working group or something to form, that you can post, that bounty is for you to use and give to other community members for assisting you. So like if it, let's just say, I know Marcus, you had some things on Gitcoin grants or something. It's like, hey, could someone help me get my, my fund, or my, get me set up on Gitcoin grants? I'll give you, 0.05 from my my bounty funds, in this grants round. Does that seem like something that might be useful or beneficial, or that it would just be more of like a waste of money?
I think incentivizing, like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be ETH. I mean, even just like POAPs, like if you show up, part of like something I've done before, for example, is if I'm working on like a business problem and someone, you do like a round table where you've got like 5 mentors, and you share like, hey, this is what I'm working on, like what solutions do you see? And yeah, sure, it could be like ETH, or also like just a POAP for showing up and like being an awesome mentor. So I think that's also really valuable. Like that could be a really interesting thought experiment of like, let's say each of us were to show up to like a call and there's 5, like DAO punks, and you're like, hey, this is what I'm working on. These are the challenges I'm seeing. And then everyone's just like sort of asking you questions, giving you insights, sharing advice. I think that could be a really valuable way of approaching it.
I think you have a coordinate where DAO punks can grant to grantees, but you could also have one where grantees are granting to the DAO punks who help them out, right? So like it kind of incentivizes the community to kind of engage, because they know at the end of the grants round, like every grants round is kind of like there are some grantees, and then here's some money that's going back into the community, just just for helping, right? So it kind of encourages people in the community to help out because hopefully they'll be recognized. Anyways, that's just an idea. I do think that it makes sense, but putting like having that negotiation of I'll give you like 0.1 ETH to do this thing for me. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just it's maybe too transactional for me because then there's a lot of people who show up and kind of give you advice, and that inspiration may be exactly what you needed at that time. And honestly, that's kind of what I'm looking for more so than, oh, do this image for me and I'll give you 0.5 ETH. Yeah, I guess it's slightly different. But anyways, that's just an idea.
Yeah, I think those are two interesting ideas. I'd have to think a little bit more about which I would favor between the coordinate and just kind of like the extra grant money. But I would I think be in favor of the coordinate idea, especially because I feel like it would get more people involved, whether it's just like interacting with the grantees, not only like, here, let me do this task for you, like help you with this specific task. It might help with just kind of overall participation. But I don't know, maybe you could do a combination of both. I'm not sure. I would have to think about that more. But yeah, I think it's an interesting idea.
Thank you. That's great feedback, guys. And yeah, like I said, I just wanted to throw it out there. It's just something that crossed my mind, and it might need some more tweaking and more specifics. But I think Lynx, it was very helpful to hear your perspective on it as well, because I know you're working to do a similar grants program over there, and you probably come across similar ideas. So appreciate that, guys.
All right, guys. That basically covers everything that I have. I'll just leave it to you guys for any last minute things that you want to talk about for each of you, and that'll be it for the day. So yeah, any last minute things that you want to mention for the people who are going to be listening to the VOD of this that you want to know, that they want to know, feel free. This is your time.
Closing statements, if you will.
Yeah.
What a prompt. That's a hard one. It's funny. You think I'd have a closing statement prepared or something, but no, it's not true. I guess I'll just say that we're working on this. We're prioritizing right now build in public at Bankless Card. So we're making some tweaks to the way that we work so that we can build more in public, and I think that you're going to see this this product shape over time, and that's the whole point. And we're building this card for people exactly like you. So if you ever want to contribute or give feedback or say something that you don't like, I mean, I think like critical feedback is sometimes worth sometimes worth a lot more than positive feedback. So anything, feel free to DM me or pop up in Bankless Card or in the the Bankless Card channel in Bankless DAO, or the Cohort Zero channel here in DAO Punks, and I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you, LiveFast, for this call, and Garrett for hopping in and asking a couple questions. Yeah, and as I said, I do have several things in the works when it comes to job hunting. But if anyone has any interesting opportunities, I'm pretty much open to anything, honestly. I just want to learn as much as possible. So if it's something that I haven't had exposure to, great. If it's something that I have, that's also great. So yeah, feel free to shoot anything my way.
Yeah, and then lastly, I would say that let's DAO punk the world. It's a really exciting initiative to have a community of people who wants to support and create more systems for DAO contributors to do this full time and to dedicate our life, the most precious resource we have. So to be surrounded by people who are super passionate about supporting that movement is incredibly inspiring, and feel super honored and grateful to have been selected as part of the cohort 0. Anyone who's super stoked about building decentralized societies and supporting public goods, let me know. I think that's like such a sort of core value proposition of the space, and one that I think ultimately is going to continue to burgeon and grow. So thank you for Lifas and Garrett and Uji and Michael and Hero as well, just everyone who's been involved in the process. It's been awesome to connect with you guys and build alongside of you and everyone else as well. So super excited to make more happen.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And and that's it. For those of you listening on the VOD, you can also learn more about what's going on in the DAO Punks via our newsletter. Feel free to check it out in our announcement channel in our Discord, or check our Twitter to learn how to subscribe to it. Thanks.